Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and a new video on the Escort RS Turbo. So in today's video we will be dealing with the rust in the battery tray. It's not too bad, but it needs to be sorted out. And there's also a little bit of rust under the passenger side wheel arch where the battery tray is fixed to. So I'll switch the camera around and I'll show you the extent of the rust. So this is the battery tray. As you can see, we've got this rust here, which is the rust I was talking about under the wheel arch. And although it's not too bad, but we have some holes here, there, and also, it's okay, we'll get out of the way. Can't really see, there's too much shadow there as well, if you can just see in that corner there. So I think the plan will be to clean off all this paint and find the spot welds and then remove this tray, and we can actually see how bad the rust is on the panel underneath the tray, this panel here. And there's, as I say, there's this bit of rust here that we're dealing with at the same time. So yeah, but I think first, before we do any work here, oh, I'll kick the light over, I need to get the dashboard out so we can do the repairs, the welding properly, make a nice job of that. And also, once the dash is out, I'm going to take this windscreen out because it's got a big old crack right along the front, which is a shame because this is the original windscreen of the car. It's got the number plate etched in it, but it's got to come out because I managed to poke a little hole in here. So I want to see what it's like in the channel that the windscreen sits in. So yeah, so it's still a bit of work to do, but we are getting to the end of the welding on the Escort. And my mate's just come out. Vin, no. You turn around and say hello, mate. No, that's what he thinks of me. Alright guys, I've never taken the dashboard out of an Escort before, so this will be a bit of a learning curve for me and probably take me a little while. But I can already see we've got some fixings along the top, some down the side, and some underneath here where the blower motor is. So I think I will start with removing the steering wheel and work my way back. But what I'll do is I'll set you up on a bit of time lapse and we can get it stripped out. And I've also got my little mate come to see me. Hello, mate. Tommy, come on, give me a hand. Take the dashboard out. Yes, good boy. Right, let's crack on. Right, so as you see in the time lapse, the dashboard is now out. It took me a little bit of fiddling about, as you saw in the time lapse. This 10mm nut was holding it in. It sits behind the blower controls. So once I'd worked out that that needed to be undone, it came out pretty easy. And plus I had to take the stalks off the steering column because the metal surround that holds the ignition wouldn't clear the dashboard. But yeah, the other issue I found is when I pulled the speedo head out, the cable came out of the outer sleeve. So I'm not sure whether that's meant to have done that or it's actually broken. But what I have noticed is that you can see at the end has got like a square drive, like a square end to it. Whether that just locks into something the other end of that, I don't know. So we'll have to see whether that's going to work or I've got to replace it. But now the dashboard is out. Oh, and also I ended up cutting the bulkhead sound deadening because I didn't want to be taking all that out just so we can repair this corner here. So this is the state of the underside of the battery tray, which isn't bad, to be honest. What was I expecting? I don't know, but what we have got is a lot of this paint is just flaking away. But you can see why they rust though. There's no top coat on it. It's literally just primer. So I assume that like damp or condensation just sits between the sound deadening and the panel, and it just rusts away. So what I'll do is I'll get a scraper. Oh, it's pretty much all coming our way now. We'll scrape all this paint off and we'll see how bad it is and how much we then need to cut out and replace. So I'll get it scraped off and I'll drop back in. So this is what it's like after I use the old scraper and surface conditioning wheel. It's actually worse than I thought. We've got quite a few little holes further around behind the sort of the rust that was forming under the paint. But yeah, it's worse than I thought it was going to be actually, but never mind. We will sort it out. So I think now I will drill out the spot welds and separate the battery tray from the panel, and then we can have a look at the top side and see where we're going to cut it out and how far we're going to cut it out. And then we can offer the new panel in and see how well they fit together. So we get on with that. So guys, as you see in the time lapse, I got the battery tray out. I did try and drill out all the spot welds, but I got everything drilled out, but I couldn't get in here with the chisel to hook it up. So in the end, I put the old disc back in the drill and just cut it out. But as you can see, it was pretty rotten. So with that out of the way, I'll give it a bit of a clean up all around the edges and cut this lip out that comes up from the bulkhead and over, and also the top of the wheel arch here, or the inside of the, what do you call that bit? Inner wheel well, shall we say. I've cut that out here as well. So we are now ready to make some new panels to go in here before we get the tray in place. So before we even try and fit the tray, I can already see that it is too big to even go in the hole, because as you can see from here, let's turn this on, that's better, with this ridge here under the blower is this bit here. So what I'll do is, I've already marked it, I'll cut out where I think it will overlap, and the same with this piece here. I don't want to just tack this to the side of the car here. I want to join it back to the original metal. So I want to cut this out, but I also want to split the battery tray from this panel, to make it easier for fitting the panel back into the car, but also for painting and stuff. So I'll end up working a way of putting this battery tray back in on probably nuts and bolts. And what I'll do is I'll weld them, the bolts, so they're sticking up, and then we can put little nuts on, and that will hold this battery tray in, which would also help with like cleaning and that sort of stuff in the future. But I think the next step will be to drill out all the spot welds and separate this off of the panel, cut this down, make some panels for here. Once these are welded in, we will then get that in there, scratch around it, and cut it to size. But before we actually completely fit it, we still got a little bit of surface rust here, so I didn't want to cut too much out in case we ended up with a gap between this and the panel there. So yeah, let's get it cut, we get it in, and we can see how much more I can cut out of this piece, and we can go from there. So there we are, got the tray drilled out. and only went through in one little bit. So I'll probably just pop a little bit of weld over these. Oh, looks like I've gone through there as well. So we'll pop a little bit of weld over these, grind them up, and then we know we're not going to get any water through any of the holes. And what I probably will try and do is fill some of the spot welds up here with some weld, grind it all back, and then re-drill some fixing holes in the tray. So while I'm at it, I'm going to cut this off and get that cut off, and then that is ready to be sat back in the car and drawn around and fitted into the bulkhead. So now the battery tray has been separated off the panel of the panel that it was welded to, I've made this section that will go in here, and I've also made this little section, and that will go, try and do this one-handed, that will go in there. So I've already put the fire blanket in there to stop some sparks going into the car. So what I'll do is I'll get the camera set up on a bit of time lapse. It's going to be quite difficult getting the camera in there and obviously filming it, but we get this probably tacked in from the top, and then what I'll probably end up doing is welding it from the underside. So I probably will be able to get some better footage of that panel going in. So we get that sorted out, get them welded in, and then we'll concentrate on this panel here. Right guys, so in that time lapse, I've got this piece all welded in and ground back, and we've got this lip all welded in, and bit of weld through primer sprayed on. So now I'm going to get this piece sat in here, and I've already trial fitted it, and I've got a hole there and a hole here for a screw to go in and hold it tight to the existing panel. So we'll get that in, and then I'll end up using the old Dremel and cutting through here all the way around the perimeter of this and butt welding that in place. So yeah, I went over and welded up all the bits, the spot welds that I drilled out, and then put some plug welds in here ready for when it's going to get fixed to that. Also put a little bit of weld through primer on to just protect this piece here. I'll end up painting all that once it's in the car. So I'll get this in, we'll get it screwed in, cut out, welded in, and I'll drop back in. So guys, as you see in the time lapse, I ground up all the welds around the bulkhead section of the battery tray, which if I turn this light off here, and I've already put a light on the back of the unit or in the car, we can see all the little pinholes. So what I need to do now is go around and weld each and every one of these pinholes up, because what I don't want is water to get back into the car. So I'm going to get all this tacked in, all these little holes welded up, grind them all back again, and we'll stick the light back in and we'll just check it again. And then once we can't see any light coming through any of these holes, I know that it's going to be watertight, and plus we'll end up seam sealing all the weld on the back of the panel anyway. So fingers crossed, there should be no water come into the car. So we'll get that done and crack on. So now we've got all the little pinholes all welded up. I'm happy that that's pretty much all buttoned up now. The plan is to now, hang on, I'm gonna pick these up. The plan is to now weld 4 nuts, like captive nuts, under the battery tray. Probably one there, one there. So weld them into position, and then we can drop the new tray in, and then we can bolt this in, and that's fitted in nicely. And also, if we want to clean out underneath, we can unbolt it from the 4 bolts, take the tray out, clean up, polish it all up, make sure it's all protected, and then put the battery tray back in. So what I'm going to do is drill out the 4 holes, weld in the nuts, and get that buttoned up. So there we are guys, that is the bulkhead panel welded in and the battery tray bolted in, which is all nice and secure now. If any of you guys have done this a different way, do please drop a comment in the comments. But I think for this video, that will be it. So thank you very much for watching guys. I do hope you have enjoyed the videos on the Escort RS Turbo so far. If you do have any comments, do please drop them in the comment section. And please, if you aren't subscribed already, do please subscribe to the channel and also drop a like in. It really does help with growing the channel and getting it out there. So thank you very much, guys, and I will see you in the next one.